We'll go ahead and get started. I want to first start and thank you guys for coming. We're very excited about our first signing class here as a staff at Rutgers University. You know, as you look around the country, National Signing Day is a very exciting day for college football, for fans, for staffs, and extra excited here because of the hard work that our staff put in, and the sports staff and the people around this university put in to help us get to this day. And I'll go through several thank yous here before I get too far into it. When you look at the recruiting process, some years it's very smooth, some years it's very eventful. This year we had a very eventful process. We had a new staff in a new area. We had a blizzard to deal with. But I'm really excited about how it all came together and how we got to this point, and the young men that we're going to bring into this program to help us build this program the way that we want it built. I'd like to thank our players to start. We had a 6 a.m. workout this morning with our guys, and to see the progress that they have made in the short time that we've been here with Coach Parker and his staff down in the weight room has been phenomenal. I've met with every one of our players the last 2 days, and the positive attitude that they have, the morale of the team, really excites myself and the rest of the staff. They've bought in extremely fast, and really excited about the direction that we're going in the development of them physically and mentally and emotionally here within our program. The other part of that with our players, when I first got hired here at Rutgers, I talked about the importance of our players in the recruiting process. We educated our players on that process and their role in the recruitment of student athletes here, and they have done an outstanding job for us in the 2 official visit weekends that we had. They came in, they hosted the players. They did an extremely great job of selling what we're trying to build here and the way that we're doing business here at Rutgers. And I can't thank those guys enough. We don't have great relationships with them yet, but to see them interact with the recruits and their parents and talk about the future and how excited they are, I can't thank them enough. And that's going to be the case moving forward too. Our players are going to be very important in this process. They work extremely hard, and the players, especially that sit here in the front of the row in this room, the older guys, want to leave a lasting legacy, and what that means is they help bring other outstanding student athletes into the program. And again, I'd like to thank them for doing that. I'd like to thank the coaching staff. A lot of them are here in the room. They came and joined myself here at Rutgers. They hit the ground running. Again, new staff, new area. A lot of the guys didn't know each other. But to watch them hit the ground running, evaluate the players that we thought that would fit what we wanted to build here, and watch them go out and recruit and try to build relationships with high school coaches, recruits, and parents was very impressive. I'm extremely happy and proud that these guys have joined me here, and to watch them work and see this come together today is very exciting. So I thank them for everything that they did. I'd also like to thank the support staff here. Adam Calteri, our recruiting director of recruiting operations, did an outstanding job of putting together first-class weekends for these guys. It was, again, short time frame between when we got here and the time of our first weekend. Adam, just like us, was in a new area trying to learn the university and trying to put together an outstanding weekend, a great experience for these student athletes coming on our campus with their families, and he did a great job, especially the very first weekend when we had the blizzard. He didn't flinch. The rest of the support staff with the director of operations and his staff and the rest of the recruiting staff, none of them flinched. They went out with shovels and salt and cleared walkways and made sure that it was a good experience and safe experience for all the recruits and their families. I'd like to thank the staff and faculty here at the university. A number of them we were able to reach out to and ask for their help and support in our recruiting efforts from an academic standpoint, and they did an outstanding job of selling the type of education that you can get here at Rutgers. And we all know that education is so important to the kids in this process, and the faculty here has been outstanding, was here in the short time frame that we were here, and they'll play a big role in our recruiting success down the road. I'd also like to thank AD Pat Hobbs. He's here in the room. Pat has been outstanding here in our short time together. I think we're going to have a great relationship moving forward, but Pat came and gave his time on each of the weekends that we had. He came over and spoke with each recruit, spoke with parents, gave his vision and presentation for what he wants this athletic department to be, and specifically this football program. Not a lot of ADs are willing to do that, and I appreciate Pat's willingness to do that. the other part of it is just the financial support that Pat gave. We wanted to put together great weekends and feed the recruits some outstanding meals, and it costs money, and Pat gave us the financial resources to make sure that we provide the best weekend experience that we can possibly do. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the high school coaches here in the state of New Jersey and surrounding areas. Again, new areas for us to go recruit for a lot of us. The way that they opened their doors, let us in, the time that they gave us was outstanding, very well appreciated by me and the other staff members, but I can't thank them enough. I think that we have done a really good job of building some relationships that will pay off down the road in the recruiting process. A little bit about a program update. Some of you guys have heard this, but we made a coaching switch. We hired a new coach. Jafar Williams came over from Purdue and made a coaching switch. We're going to put Jafar to coach the wide receivers, and Zach Curley, who was hired here earlier or later in December before we got here, will switch and go back to his natural position of running backs. That's what Zach has coached for the majority of his years in coaching, and I think that'll be the best fit for our staff and our players moving forward. Jafar played wide receiver, has coached wide receivers, and very excited about the switch and the transition with our offensive staff there. A little bit about the class. Okay, as we came in, there were several guys that were committed. We made the decision that we would honor those commitments if they chose to still come to Rutgers. Some of them did, some of them did not. But I believe that was the right way to do it and wouldn't do it any other way, to be honest with you. This class represents 8 different states, and 10 of those recruits come from here in New Jersey, and very excited about that. We talked about the importance of being able to recruit right here in our home state and take New Jersey kids and build this program with those players from these programs, and I think we've done an outstanding job of identifying, late in the process, identifying the right type of kids that will fit the culture that we want to try to build. As we went forward and we're trying to identify and evaluate recruits to come here to Rutgers, we're looking at several criteria that didn't look at ability. We wanted to bring in guys of high character. We wanted guys with intelligence. We wanted guys that could be great teammates. We wanted guys that could fit into the culture that we wanted to build here. We want guys that will compete. We want guys that are disciplined and have toughness. And then if we can get that with some great ability, it's a great combination. But those factors were very important for us moving forward, that we brought the right type of young man into this program. We filled some needs. We had needs on the offensive line for the future. We signed 4 offensive linemen. We had needs, current needs and future needs at linebacker. We signed several linebackers. We had some needs at defensive back. So happy with the guys that we've brought in to fill some of the immediate needs and future needs at certain positions that we had identified early in the recruiting process. With that being said, I'd like to open it up for questions. And see if you guys have any questions about the recruits or the process or anything that I can answer.
Yeah, Chris, was it important to add a quarterback in this class? I see you got one. Could you maybe talk about that?
It was important. It wasn't a make or break position for us, but it was important to find the right type of quarterback. With what we're going to do offensively, we wanted to find a quarterback that fit that system, and I think we hit a home run with that. Tylen Oden is exactly what we want in the system for the future, and Tylen's an outstanding quarterback, a talented kid that can beat you with his feet and his arm, and I think we hit a home run. If we didn't sign one, we weren't going to worry about it too much. I think there's some outstanding quarterbacks on this roster that we can go out and play some winning football with. But I think we hit a home run with Tylen.
Chris, at linebacker, you have 3 enrolled and 2 more signed. What made you want to be so aggressive in recruiting that position?
Well, we have immediate needs. We have needs right now for this football team going into the 2016 season, and we've got future needs that we're going to have to address at that position. Some of the linebackers that we've signed are tall. They got length. They can run. They've got growth potential that may be able to help us down the road at other positions. They're going to help us on special teams right away. When you talk about having special teams players that you can go out and win with, a lot of them are going to come from the linebacking room. And we just wanted to increase the number of guys that we had in that position.
Chris, the job that you did in state, I mean, a lot of the recruits are from some of the programs that produce a lot of the most talent, Piscataway, Timber Creek, Don Bosco, St. Peter's Prep. Was that a coincidence, or was it a focus to kind of get some of those guys?
A little bit of both. It just so happened, like you said, those are schools that usually have players, and they had some players that we wanted to recruit. But it was also about building relationships for the future and getting those players in our program that we can work with, we can develop and coach, that can go back and say really positive things about what we're doing here and how we're doing our business and what the future looks like.
Coach, you got a couple graduate transfers in. Can you talk about those guys and maybe their role for the upcoming season?
Yeah, we did. Ross Douglas and Malachi Moore, we took. Both of them are graduate transfers. Why did we take them? Again, positions of need. I think they can provide depth. They can provide competition at certain spots. They're guys that have gone through programs before. They know what it takes to be successful. They've graduated, so they've demonstrated the ability to be successful in the classroom. And I think they're great charactered kids that can help the culture in the locker room.
Chris, what was the biggest challenge of having such a short period of time to put this class together?
I think that's the biggest challenge, is a short period of time, to be honest with you. We're trying to take a recruiting process that usually can go from 1 to 2 years long and cram it into basically a 4-week time period. That's very challenging for me personally as a head coach. When you get one opportunity to go out and visit a prospect in the home or in the school, the opportunity to get to know these guys is very limited, and it's tough. I talk to them on the phone and things like that all the time, but to be able to actually get to build a relationship where you truly know them and feel good about what you're bringing into the program is tough to do in 4 weeks when you get one visit.
Chris, it seemed like you guys weren't afraid to go after kids who had made verbal commitments elsewhere, and I know that happens both ways. Just talk a little bit about being aggressive there and then going after kids who had actually committed elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you may call it aggressive recruiting. I just call it recruiting. It's not over until it's over, and that's our job as a staff, to go out and recruit the best players that we can that fit our systems and fit our culture. And until they sign a national letter of intent, that's recruiting. It will go all the way up until the end, and that's the way I've been brought up in this profession, and that's the way I want the coaches here on the staff to recruit.
Chris, unless you follow really closely, sometimes tough to tell. What is the breakdown of guys whose commitments you honored and guys who you got into maybe a little bit later on in the process, obviously?
It's hard to go back, and I haven't really thought about the guys that we wanted that we didn't get, to be honest with you. One thing you'll find out about me, I'm not really concerned about the guys that aren't here in this program or are not coming to join us. I'm concerned about the guys that are here and the guys that we signed. To give you a breakdown, it'd be hard to do that unless I went back and studied the numbers. Were there guys that we wanted that we didn't get? Absolutely. Are there guys that we recruited or found late in the process that we got? Absolutely. But to give you a specific number, I couldn't do that.
And those that were already committed, in terms of, will they fit? Will they find a way to fit? How will they work with what you want to do if they might not have been guys that you targeted initially?
Yeah, again, it'll go back to we made the decision to honor guys that were committed here, but with a few stipulations. One, they had to have great character. They had to have good grades. Guys that maybe they didn't necessarily fit in what we're doing, but our system on offense and defense and special teams will be flexible enough to put people in the right spots. But there are some guys that were committed that we've gotten, some guys that maybe we didn't feel were the right fit or they didn't feel they were the right fit that went elsewhere.
Chris, I know it's crazy early to ask this, but any idea when you look at this, are there names that jump out that you say, yeah, this kid's ready to play as a freshman?
I'll never make a comment that a guy's ready to play or not until they get on our campus. I'll never go into a home and promise a recruit that you're going to come here and you're going to start or be in the 2 deep. The only thing I'm going to promise recruits, every single one of them that comes in this program, that you're going to have a chance to compete for playing time. You're going to have an opportunity to go take somebody's job. And that's part of the competitive environment that we want to create here in this program. And I'll never go and say a kid is game ready, you're going to have an opportunity to help us or start. It's all about the opportunity to compete. And I'll say this, the players in our program understand that now, that they're going to have to compete for the jobs going into the 2016 season. The existing signing class that we just put together, every one of them have been told that we are now getting into the preparation phase, which means they're signed, they're ours, get prepared to come here and take somebody's job and get ready to compete that way. And the recruits down the road in the future will know that this is going to be a highly competitive program. It's not going to be for everybody. Not everybody wants to compete. So many guys want things handed to them. We're not going to hand anything to anybody, not our current roster, but incoming recruits or recruits down the road. And that's the type of kid that we want here in this program.
Chris, do you consider this class complete now, or will you look to add more kids down the road, kicker, some other positions that might?
There's always a chance we to add more recruits down the road. We have a couple open scholarships, and that was really, some of them were by design here as we ended the process. There are always guys that pop up late in the last day or two that you really don't know a whole lot about. It would have been very easy to go out and just take a guy just to take a guy, but we weren't going to do that. That was the plan from the start. If we didn't know them, we didn't feel good about them, we weren't going to take them just to fill up a scholarship. Will there be a chance to sign somebody else later down the road? Absolutely, but again, it's got to fit the criteria of what we're looking for.
Chris, number-wise, is 16 what you wanted? Were you looking to bring in more, or was this simply what you ended up with?
There was no target number. We said it from the start, it's not about numbers. It's not about filling all the scholarships. It's about finding the right individuals to come here. We're trying to change a culture. We're trying to change an attitude and a mindset here, and we wanted to make sure that the incoming recruits that we brought here fit that, and that was the most important thing. We weren't worried about chasing stars. We weren't worried about 40 times and vertical jumps. All that is great, and do we want that stuff? Absolutely, but there were other factors that were more important at this point in our tenure here that we wanted to try to bring into this program, and there was no number set that we had to try to get 15, 16, 22 at all. It was the right group of guys that fit what we wanted to try to do.
Hey, Chris, what was the biggest difference recruiting as a head coach as opposed to an assistant?
The one-time visit. You know, as an assistant, you can go visit recruits every week. You get a chance to have more face time with them. The challenge still for an assistant coach is the amount of time that we had, basically 2.5 weeks to go out and visit guys. And with a head coach to be able to go visit one time in that short amount of a period, having not really been in front of these guys on campus visits unofficially or for games, that made it a real challenge.
Chris, kind of a big picture question, not just here, but just nationally. It seems like there's more and more flip commitments every year. There's talk of like early signing period like there is in basketball. Are you in favor of that, or in favor of anything to knock that down, or do you just the way it is works?
Well, I think there's always room for discussion about how to improve the system. Is there an early signing period, or is it when a guy wants to commit, you can give him a piece of paper and see if he actually wants to commit and sign it right then? I can't tell you I'm in favor of one or the other yet, but I think there has been a lot of discussion in the last few years about early signing periods and ways to change the process. I think those discussions need to continue. Is the system broke? No, I wouldn't say it's broke, but I think we can always find ways to make it better and maybe alleviate some of those situations.
Chris, it seems like recruiting has become showtime now. I guess you saw what happened at Michigan,
Yeah.
and Urban can lure people to Ohio State. I mean, do you have to change your approach? I mean, do coaches now have to sleep over and things like that?
I don't think so. I think it's situational based. I think it's based on the individual. There are some players where that stuff is important, the glitz and the glamour and thinking outside of the box and doing something off the wall. That fits certain individuals. Some of them, it doesn't. It really depends on the individual. And I think as a coach, as you go through this process and you build a relationship with a young man, you know what it's going to take. And if it takes something off the wall to go get a kid, then you've got to be willing to do that. But if it doesn't and you do that, it may turn the kid off also. But I think you can't try to be something that you're not. You need to be honest, straightforward, and you need to go sell the things that you're going to be able to provide for them in your program. But I do think that you have to be somewhat flexible and be able to attract the type of kid that you want in a certain way if that's required.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah.
What do you see with Javi and T.J. Taylor coming back, who's out for a year?
Yeah, Javi, I mean, I think he's a great fit in our offense. He's quick. He's got great hands. He's got great bloodlines, and very excited to get him in our program. He's a tremendous worker, high-charactered kid, intelligent kid, and I think he's, again, a good kid that fits our culture, fits our offense, and all the things that we want in our players. T.J. Taylor, honestly, today was the first day that I got a chance to really watch him move around. I met with him this week. Very fine young man, very excited about him. And he walks in, he's a big physical-looking guy. And, you know, he's been injured. And to be honest with you, more than that, I can't really comment because I don't know a whole lot other than the conversation that he and I have had and the chance to watch him run around today a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you guys for coming. I know I think some of the other mid-year guys are still available to visit with you guys if you choose to. Thank you.